Morning, Rudraksh, Rushi. Thank you so much, both of you. So we are going to start very shortly, dear students. Just waiting for a while for the rest of the students to join, and then certainly we are going to start. Sakshi, good morning, good morning. Aman, good morning. So, Rudraksh, Rushi, Sakshi and Aman, I'm going to start now that we are late by 15 minutes almost. So, I'm going to start, not waiting for others to join. Let them join at their convenient time. Sahil, good morning. So you please stay connected. Let me start. Okay. So dear students, today we will conclude this lesson. We are going to, only few paragraphs are left. We are going to conclude today. So here I am. Yes, I am going to start from this paragraph, dear students. Event justified Gandhi's position. Okay. So before I begin, I would just like to have some confirmation. Aman or Sahil, any one of you can text me whether I am audible as well as my text is visible to you. Just write yes if everything is okay. Please write yes. Text is visible as well as I am audible to you, dear students. Aarti, good morning. Okay, thank you, Aman. Thank you so much. So today we are going to start events justified Gandhi's position. Okay. So the events like the agreement of the British government. Okay. Verdict of the British government in favor of the indigo sharecroppers at Champaran. These events have consolidated the position of Mahatma Gandhi in his fight against the British at Champaran town. Okay, now everyone came to know about Gandhi even more because of his cooperation and involvement in the sharecropping problem at Champaran. They have won the Champaran battle. Understood? So therefore this event, and there are some other events like Mahatma Gandhi was not jailed eventually, okay, even though he was served summons, but due to the mass protest of thousands of peasants, okay, what happened, the British government eventually had to abandon, okay, the case against Gandhi. So these events pointed in favor of Gandhi. So that is what is the meaning of events justified Gandhi's position. Within a few years, the British planters abandoned their estates. Okay, they have given up or left their estates. Estates means the land, which reverted to the peasants. Okay, these lands or estates went back to the peasants. Indigo sharecropping disappeared. Now there was no suffering resulting out of the indigo sharecropping business. Understood? So indigo sharecropping problem totally disappeared when the British government abandoned their estates and which went to the peasants. Okay, now there will be no such problem. The sharecroppers will be living peacefully now. Okay, Gandhi never contented himself with large political or economic solutions. Okay, contented means Gandhi never felt happy, okay, with large political or economic solutions. Okay, here you see the meaning of contented, feeling or expressing happiness. Gandhi never felt self-complacent, okay, regarding his political or economic success, whatever he achieved, okay, because his mission was to work for the cause of the poor people, work for the liberation of our country from the British rule. Therefore, till he achieved his objective, the overall full objective, he was never happy. These are, like Champaran movement was a part of his, effort to liberate India from the British dominion. Okay, so he got partial success. The main success lies in the declaration of Indian independence from the hands of the British government. Okay, so Gandhi was never self-complacent, okay, with his political or economic solutions. He saw the cultural and social backwardness in the Champaran village. After one problem was solved, another problem, dear students, cropped up. What was the another problem that cropped up? The cultural, Champaran, people of Champaran village were not culturally and socially developed. Okay, so Gandhi could see the cultural and social backwardness in the Champaran village. Then he has to do something to uplift the condition, okay, the social condition, the economic condition of the people of Champaran. So after one task is over, another he has plunged in, okay, in order to remove the suffering of the people. Okay, so what he did, he appealed for teachers. He appealed for teachers because without the participation of teachers, okay, and other social reformers, single-handedly is not possible for Mahatma Gandhi. Therefore, he appealed for teachers. Mahadev Desai and Narhari Parikh, two young men who had just joined Gandhi as disciples, and their wives volunteered for the work. Okay, so immediately when Gandhi appealed for teachers and other people for cooperation, immediately Mahadev Desai and Narhari Parikh, okay, who have already become the disciple of Gandhi, came forward to volunteer for the work. What is the work here? The work here refers to the upliftment of the people of Champaran village because they were culturally and socially backward. Let's find out what kind of backwardness is there in Champaran village. Several more came from Bombay, Pune and other distant parts of the land. Several more people, several more disciples of Gandhiji, okay, came from Bombay, Pune and other far off places of the country. Thus, Gandhi's youngest son arrived from ashram, and so did Mrs. Gandhi. Okay, Mrs. Gandhi and Mr. Gandhi's son, Devdas, also joined, okay, Gandhi in his effort to alleviate the suffering of the poor people. Okay, primary schools were opened for social awareness, social development. What happens, dear students? Education is very important. Okay, first education, because with the help of education, all kinds of awareness can be generated or created. Therefore, giving access to primary schools to the people of Champaran, okay, was very, very important. Okay, therefore, initially he started with primary schools in 6 villages. Kasturbai, okay, Kasturbai is the wife of Gandhi, taught the ashram rules on personal cleanliness and community sanitation. This is very important, dear students. Okay, to create awareness among the people of the village, personal cleanliness and community sanitation. So, along with education, along with the effort of opening up primary schools, what he did was he also tried to improve the health conditions. For that, he also opened up some health centers. Okay, health conditions were miserable. Gandhi got a doctor to volunteer for his service. 3 medicines were available: castor oil, quinine and sulfur ointment. Anybody who showed a coated tongue was given a dose of castor oil. Okay, dear students, you know the meaning of coated tongue? Coated tongue means white, or coated tongue means white tongue. Okay, white tongue means a white covering or coating on your tongue. Okay, that is called coated tongue. So anybody who was suffering from coated tongue was given a dose of castor oil. Anybody with malaria fever received quinine plus castor oil. Anybody with skin eruptions received ointment plus castor oil. So Gandhiji also made sure that the people of Champaran do not suffer, okay, from any kind of ailment, okay, or disease. Therefore health conditions also, health areas are also one of his prime concerns, okay. Therefore, along with opening up some primary schools, he also ensured that some health centers also come up in the village, okay. Dear students, skin eruption. Eruption refers to a spot, rash or other mark appearing suddenly on the skin. Okay, this is skin eruption. Okay, eruptions means here spot, rash or other mark. Okay, and those having skin eruptions received ointment plus castor oil. So before I proceed, let me check once. Arnish, good morning. Good morning, Aarti. As well, very few students it seems have joined so far. What about commerce students, except Aarti, I think Aarti, nobody is there, okay. Anyway, let's continue, dear students, please stay connected. Gandhi noticed the filthy state of women's clothes, okay. Filthy means here dirty state, okay, where of the women's clothes. He asked Kasturbai to talk to them about it, okay. He asked his wife to voluntarily approach the women of the village and talk to them regarding the importance of maintaining cleanliness and proper hygiene. One woman took Kasturbai into her heart and said, "Look, there is no box or cupboard here for clothes. The sari I am wearing is the only I have." Okay, so one woman took Kasturbai into her heart and said, "See, look, we don't have any box or a cupboard to keep our clothes properly, okay, and moreover we are financially very poor, because the sari that I am wearing is the only one that I am having, okay. Therefore it is not possible to always take care of your personal hygiene." During his long stay in Champaran, Gandhi kept a long distance watch on the ashram, okay. On his ashram also he kept long watch. He sent regular instructions by mail and asked for financial accounts, okay. Once he wrote to the residents that it was time to fill in the old latrine trenches and dig new ones, otherwise the old ones would begin to smell bad, okay. So about maintaining hygiene, proper hygiene, okay. He instructed the people who are in charge of the keeping the ashram and all, okay, to sort of come up with another latrine trans, because the earlier one has almost filled up, okay. He sent regular instructions by mail and asked for financial accounts. Once he wrote to the residents that it was time to fill in the old latrine trances and dig new ones, okay. Understood? So now let's move on to the next part. The Champaran episode was a turning point in Gandhi's life. Champaran episode was a turning point because he came to be known by many people, okay. He came to be known, okay, not only in Bihar but elsewhere also, for his painstaking effort to alleviate the suffering of the sharecroppers from the British planters, okay. Then Gandhi explained about his success. He said, "What I did," he explained, "was a very ordinary thing. I declared that the British could not order me about in my own country." So what he did was very simple. He revived, or he sort of sensitized people about the need of patriotism, about the need of driving the British out of our country, because as long as the British are there in our country, we cannot have fear, we cannot have complete absence of fear from our mind, okay. We shall always have some underlying fear because of the punishment imposed on us by the British and the need to drive away the British. Therefore what he did, he sensitized people that British could not stay longer in our country, okay, and he also ensured that personally that British could not order him in his own country. So when that was his main objective, British cannot order me in my own country. And from this particular objective, okay, was born a platter of other ideas, platter of other, you know, incentives for him to fight for the cause of the people. Okay, but Champaran did not begin as an act of defiance. Champaran did not begin as an act of defiance only. Okay, defiance means disobeying the order of the British officials. It grew out of an attempt to alleviate the distress of large number of poor peasants. Okay, his intention was not defying the British government alone, but why to defy? In order for a larger cause, he has to defy. Okay, he has to defy the order of the British government for a larger cause. What was the larger cause? The larger cause was to alleviate the distress of a large number of poor peasants. Alleviate means to remove the suffering. Distress means the suffering. To remove the suffering of large number of poor peasants was the only objective in his Champaran stay, because of which he had to act, he has to defy the order of the British government. This was the typical Gandhi pattern. Okay, this was the typical Gandhi pattern. What was his pattern? His politics were intertwined with the practical day-to-day problems of the millions. His politics were intertwined means mixed up. Okay, his politics were mixed with the practical day-to-day problems of the millions. Okay, he would take up the cause of the poor people, or he would take up the cause of some section of the society, and on this problem he would try out his level best to proceed with his agitation. So his politics were always involved, okay, in the form of some kind of social work. Understood? Practical day-to-day problems of the millions. His was not a loyalty to abstractions. Abstractions refer to, dear students, abstractions means a vague idea in the mind, okay, something which exists only as an idea. His loyalty was not on an abstract idea alone, but his loyalty was on living human beings. Understood? Like, if you have an idea, you cannot implement it, so there is no benefit out of it. But if I have an idea and I apply this idea to alleviate the suffering of the common people, okay, living human beings, in that case, okay, it is more beneficial for the community or for the society. Therefore, his loyalty was not a loyalty to abstractions alone. Okay, he might have conceived some idea, of course, but that he has translated on the day-to-day problem of the people. Therefore, his loyalty was to living human beings. Understood? In everything Gandhi did, moreover, he tried to mold a new free Indian who could stand on his own feet and thus make India free. So everything Gandhi did, okay, there was a greater objective in whatever he did. Okay, there might be several objectives behind his movement or behind his work, but all the objectives, small objectives that he had in his mind, he conceived in his mind, were all intertwined with one another. Understood? Were all intertwined with one another. So what did he do was, he wanted to mold a new free India, or Indian who could stand on his own feet and make India free. Okay, his larger long-term goal was to make people independent. Stand on his own feet means to make people independent. His larger objective was to make people independent and thus make India free. Okay, free from the British government. Okay. Vedant, good morning. Vedant has joined us just a while back, I suppose. Okay. Early in the Champaran action, Charles Free Andrews, the English pacifist who had become a devoted follower of the Mahatma, came to bid Gandhi farewell before going on a tour of duty to the Fiji Islands. Early in the Champaran action, Charles Freer Andrews, the English pacifist. Pacifist means, dear students, a person who believes that war and violence are not able to solve any problem. Therefore, they are unjustifiable. A person who believes that war and violence are unjustifiable, he is called pacifist. So one English pacifist, okay, who had become a devoted follower of the Mahatma Gandhi, okay, he came to bid Gandhi farewell before his departure to a tour of duty to the Fiji Islands. Okay, dear students, I have got to give you some information about Fiji Island. So you can also see here. Let me magnify the font so that you are able to see. Okay, so see here, Fiji, a country in the South Pacific Ocean, is an archipelago of more than 300 islands. It is famed for rugged landscapes, palm-lined beaches and coral reefs with clear lagoons. And here you can see the South Pacific is a big place, incredibly vast and blue, covering 11 million square miles, stretching from the top of Australia to the Hawaii Islands. Like the countries belonging to South Pacific region is Australia, Chile, Ecuador, Fiji, Indonesia, New Zealand, etc. So the English pacifist, before leaving for a tour of duty to the Fiji Islands, he came to Gandhiji to take farewell. He was a great devotee of Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi's lawyer friends thought that it would be a good idea for Andrews to stay in Champaran and help them. Okay, Gandhi's lawyer friends thought that as Andrew was a British person, therefore it would be easier for them to get support from the British government. Okay, therefore Gandhi's lawyer friends thought that thought it better for Andrews to stay back at Champaran. But Gandhi had a different opinion. Okay, what he thought, Andrews was willing if Gandhi agreed, but Gandhi was vehemently opposed. Gandhi vehemently means very strongly. Gandhiji opposed. He said, you think that in this unequal fight it would be helpful if we have an Englishman on our side. This shows the weakness of your heart. Okay, Gandhi said that if we keep any Englishman with us, okay, our very purpose will be defeated. Okay, we are fighting against the British, so we cannot afford to have a British person in our fight against the British. Understood? Therefore he said the cause is just, the cause is justified, and you must rely upon yourselves to win the battle. You should not seek a prop in Mr. Andrews because he happens to be an Englishman. Understood? As he is an Englishman, so we cannot seek a prop, okay, a support in Mr. Andrews. Okay, he had read our minds correctly. Okay, he had read our minds correctly. Rajendra Prasad comments, and we had no reply. What did he comment, Rajendra Prasad? He said Gandhi in this way taught us a lesson in self-reliance. Okay, Gandhi, by not including Mr. Andrews, okay, in our fight against the British, okay, he has taught us a great lesson. What is the lesson Gandhi has taught us in the process of not including Mr. Andrews, okay, in our agitation against the British government? Gandhiji wanted us to be self-reliant. We must have faith in our own ability, in our own people, in our own fight against the British government. Okay, so what is this called? It is called self-reliance. Self-reliance refers to being reliant or being dependent on ourselves. Okay, we must have self-belief that we can do. Okay, we must develop self-reliance. We must be independent. Okay, this is exactly the reason as to why Gandhi was not in favor of keeping Mr. Andrews, okay, in his side while fighting for the cause of India's liberation from the British government. Okay, so Rajendra Prasad could understand this very well, and he said, okay, Gandhi in this way taught us a lesson in self-defiance. Okay, so dear students, this lesson has tour of duty. Tour of duty. Okay, Arnish, tour of duty means Anish, during the British administration in India, what happened? There are a lot of people, British people, okay, who worked in India, okay, for the British government. So, tour of duty means he was sent for a work, okay, he was sent for a work, okay, to Fiji Islands. Mr. Andrews, okay, Charles Freer Andrews, he was assigned a work to the Fiji Islands by the British government. Therefore, he had to leave India for some time to the Fiji Islands. So this is what is a tour of duty is. Tour of duty is all about. Okay, so he had to leave Fiji Islands for a while. Okay. So dear students, now let us recapitulate what we have learned so far, okay, from this lesson. Let's recapitulate now so that we understand what we have already, or we can retain what we have learned from this lesson. Okay, Rajat, I think for the first time I can see you with your trademark name Alvin HD. Okay, stay connected please. Welcome Rajat. Next let us try to understand, let us try to revise the whole lessons together. Okay, see dear students, not only were the peasants paid poor remuneration, money was extorted from them through almost 40 different kinds of illegal cesses called abobs. Means these are tax, you can say. They are, British government is to collect different kinds of taxes from the poor people. All this contributed to curtailing the farmers' freedom of cultivation. Understood? All these kind of unethical extortion of tax, okay, from the sharecroppers contributed to the curtailing of the farmers' freedom of cultivation. Okay, they did not have any freedom in cultivation. Okay, troubled by all these, Champaran farmers decided to take a delegation to the 1916 Congress session in Lucknow, where they met Gandhi. Okay, so as they were troubled by all this, tax collections and all that, okay, extraction of unethical extraction of money, Champaran farmers decided to take a delegation. Okay, so who was the person who was the leader of the delegation? It was Rajkumar Shukla. Okay, who went to who went as a delegate, okay, for the peasants to 1916 Congress session in Lucknow, and that is where he has met Mahatma Gandhi. Next, you see, the Champaran tenant was bound by law to plant 3 out of every 20 parts of his land with indigo for his landlord under a system called Tinkatia. Okay, Tinkatia is the system called actually. Okay, the Champaran tenant farmers were bound by law actually. It was a law. Okay, to plant 1/3 of the every 20th part, okay, of his land with indigo crops, okay, or 15% whatever they have to pay to the British planters, and whatever part of holdings they are farming, they have to plant at least 3 out of every 20 parts, okay, with indigo crops. If the farmers wished to shift to other crops, they could do so only if they paid a large amount known as tawan or compensation. If the farmers wanted to shift to other crops besides indigo, then they could do this, but in return for a large amount. Understood? Farmland in Champaran was largely held by European landholders but cultivated by Indian tenants. Farmland in Champaran district, okay, was largely held by European landlords but cultivated by the Indian tenant farmers. Next, Champaran Satyagraha, India's first civil disobedience movement, is now 103 years old. Okay, 103 years old. Champaran Satyagraha, India's first civil disobedience movement. Okay, why civil disobedience? Because people in large number came forward and protested, agitated against the suffering of the indigo sharecroppers. Therefore, it is considered to be India's first civil disobedience movement. Disobedience means not obliging the instructions of the British. Okay, the protest against British government in the form of agitation, demonstration, this is what is called civil disobedience movement. The movement was undertaken in the erstwhile undivided Champaran district in northern Bihar in April 1917. Okay, erstwhile means former. Okay, former undivided Champaran district in northern Bihar. It was the first peasant movement to have garnered nationwide attention and in many ways propelled India's masses to join the liberation struggle against the British colonizers. Okay, so that was the, you can say, that was the beginning of the protest against the British government to leave India, to quit India. So it was the first peasant movement to have garnered nationwide attention and in many ways propelled India's masses. And this particular incident has also encouraged people, propelled people, motivated people, okay, to protest against the British, okay, in different parts of the country. Understood? Because Champaran movement got success, so people all across the country thought that if we also agitate against the government, okay, in groups, okay, with the help of prominent leaders like Mahatma Gandhi and other freedom fighters, then our cause will be heard, our cause will be supported, and British government has to be forced to leave country. Okay, therefore Champaran movement was a kind of a propelling force, okay, for the rest of the people of the country to undergo agitation against the British to leave our country and give us freedom. Next, how did Gandhi get involved in Champaran movement in Bihar? How did Gandhi get involved in the Champaran movement in Bihar is something what we'll learn now. Okay, so dear students, I'm continuing with my slides. So if you have any query, you can text me in the meantime. Okay, I'm continuing with the next slide. If you have any doubt, you can text me. I'll cater to your query after some time. Okay, how did Gandhi get involved in the Champaran movement? Initially reluctant to commit himself to the task, Gandhi was persuaded by requests spurred from indigo farmer cum moneylender Rajkumar Shukla at the Congress session held in 1916, the reference of which I have already given you, okay, in my previous explanation of the previous slides. Okay, initially Gandhi was reluctant or unwilling to commit himself to the task, but the determination and the tenacity that was shown by Rajkumar Shukla at the Congress session at Lucknow held in 1916, where Rajkumar Shukla had met Gandhi, okay, made Gandhi eventually join the Champaran movement because Rajkumar Shukla was able to persuade Gandhi, okay, with his repeated requests, okay, to to visit Champaran and fight for the cause of the poor sharecroppers. Okay, after learning about the abuses suffered by the farmers, Gandhi's plan was to carry out an extensive inquiry in the district and subsequently demand action based on findings. Okay, because Rajkumar Shukla wasn't able to give him a detailed idea about the Champaran problem, indigo sharecropper problem. Therefore, Gandhi had to take information before he plunged himself into an agitation. Okay, he had to take detailed report, information, the background information about the problem of indigo sharecroppers. Therefore, his plan was to carry out an extensive inquiry in the district and subsequently demand action based on findings. Okay, next you see the Satyagraha culminated in the passing of the Champaran Agrarian Act 1918. Satyagraha, that is Champaran movement, okay, culminated in the passing of the Champaran Agrarian Act. Agrarian is based on agriculture. Act was passed. Under this act, farmers were given more autonomy over land. Farmers earlier were not having any autonomy or any independence insofar as cultivation of land is concerned. But after the Champaran movement, when the Agrarian Act of 1918 came into effect, under this act, farmers were given more autonomy over land, charged lesser rents. Okay, earlier they were charged hefty fees as rent. Now they were charged very less nominal rent and rewarded greater concessions. They were given greater concessions. Understood? So the Champaran Satyagraha yoked the peasants' unrest to the freedom struggle. So as they got success in indigo sharecropping problem, now the peasants will also form a larger groups, and they will also join Mahatma Gandhi and other prominent leaders in their agitation or in their struggle against the liberation of our in the struggle, okay, to liberate India, okay, from the British. Okay. So dear students, that's all about indigo. Hopefully you have understood, and now we have started a bit late. I have got the next class scheduled for me at 11:50, so I would take leave from all of you. But before I take leave, dear students, I would like to remind you that I have already uploaded the ncrd solution of this lesson. So kindly write down on your notebook and send me the PDF of your of this lesson. Okay, you can upload on the library page of my website as an evidence of the notebook completion. Okay, as an evidence for notebook completion. So you first of all you write down, I have already uploaded. I shall share the link with you. Okay. So please update your notebook on a regular basis, and as and when you update your notebook, you keep sending me the PDF file as an evidence for notebook completion. Understood? So dear students, I'll take leave from you at this moment. Okay, my next class is scheduled at 11:50. So thank you so much. Next class I'll start with a new lesson. Okay, in the meantime, if you have any doubt, you can also contact with me on my website through the chat option. Okay, if you have any doubt regarding any of the ideas, any of the concept, any of the phrases, idioms used in the text, you can also text me on my website. I will immediately address your issue. Okay, thank you so much, dear students. Thanks all of you, all the students who were with me today. Thank you so much, all of you. So I take leave of you. Looking forward to coming on screen next class at 11 o'clock. Till then, bye bye, take care, and do update your notebook, dear students. I have already updated the ncrd solution of this lesson. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.